The signal in Little Nightmares 2 slowly creeps around the Pale City and the areas beyond, continually being sent out, but also drawing things back. Hello viewers, my name is Tericho and welcome to my channel where I explore, explain and expand upon the darkest worlds of video games. Today we're taking a look at the signal in Little Nightmares 2. I'm going to attempt to explain this in a more literal sense, what it means in the game, but also a more metaphorical sense and what it could mean in our world too. I'm also going to offer my own theories and interpretations as usual, so there will be spoilers in this video. So in Little Nightmares 1 we had the hunger. Hunger was the main theme of the game, and the game had many messages and metaphors around this theme. And while the first game did have some form of mythical power in the hunger, the second game also features a mythical power in the signal. But before we get into the escapism themes, let's explain what the signal is in a more literal sense. The signal in Little Nightmares 2 originates from the signal tower. It spreads across the Pale City and beyond through TVs. Wherever the signal can be found, things start to get twisted, warped, and pulled towards the signal tower. People who watch find themselves addicted until eventually their faces start to warp and deform. Eventually they are sucked into the TV, where all of these people are merged into one giant amorphous being. It also seems that animals and wildlife are affected though too. Rats and moths start to grow bigger, and even the buildings start to crumble and buckle as they start to get drawn towards the signal tower. The signal has completely corrupted the Pale City, which looks like it used to be a very busy and vibrant city, which is now basically deserted. The only remaining people are the viewers, and even those barely move. They're still so addicted to the television that unless you break their line of sight of the television and the signal, they don't really acknowledge you. They just stare motionless into the signal. Even though nothing is playing on the television anymore, they can't tear their eyes away. That's if they still had eyes, that is. We also know that the Thin Man seems to be the origin of the signal, or somebody who is able to use the signal and harness it in some way. Either way you view it, it doesn't really matter. The Thin Man is now the source of the signal, and the Thin Man is able to travel anywhere that the signal reaches, and he does this using the television. We also know that Mono is the Thin Man before he grows up, and so he's able to do the same thing as well. Finally, the signal tower, the origin of the signal, is a very mysterious place that warps physics around it. Gravity doesn't work properly, neither does time. We know that 6 was taken to the signal tower, and less than a few hours later seems to have grown giant and twisted. We can see that these doors lead in on themselves, which shouldn't be physically possible, but everything in the signal tower has been warped and twisted, including the very physics that we base all of our knowledge and reasoning. So that's the literal signal in Little Nightmares 2. What does it mean more metaphorically? As I said at the beginning of this video, Little Nightmares 2 features a theme just like Little Nightmares 1 did. Little Nightmares 1 was themed around hunger, which I've already made a video on if you want to check out. But everything in that game was relative to hunger. Everything was hungry. Some people were starving and some people were greedy. All of this mirrors our own world, and it had many metaphors and messages about different types of hunger, power hunger, necessary hunger, or greed. And it also had many messages about industry and economy, and how there is always a human cost to almost everything. Little Nightmares 2's main theme is escapism. The viewers are this game's version of the guests, and while they don't try to eat people like the guests did, all they want to do is try to escape through the TV. Well, kind of. Escapism is the idea that you can transport yourself away, if only temporarily and not physically, to another place. For example, if you watch a movie or a TV show or play a video game or even read a book, they transport you away to another place, usually one that's more exciting, a bit more interesting, and one that stands in a stark contrast to the mundane real life. The same is true of the viewers as well. If you look at the Pale City, it's been clearly inspired by a Japanese city. In Japan, the work ethic is so strong that many people don't even have time to play video games or even form relationships. It's a real problem in Japan, and I think that has been conveyed here in the Pale City. But regardless, the viewers have such mundane lives. You can see that most of the men look like workmen, and most of the women look like housewives. Both of these roles incredibly boring and mundane if you think about it. Most of these people would be doing the same thing every day in and day out, going to work or staying at home and looking after the house. Either way, all of these people would be doing the same thing every day, and that becomes incredibly monotonous. So one way for the viewers to get out of this monotony is to watch these TV programs, which have incredibly catchy jingles and seem very exciting and fun. Especially considering that the Pale City seems to be set in the past, considering these TVs are black and white, and the dress code seems to have been from our own world but in the past, seems like there aren't that many opportunities for entertainment in the Pale City. I'm sure before the Pale City was corrupted, these people were desperate for an escape. And this is exactly how the signal managed to corrupt this city. people started watching these TV shows, not knowing that the entire time they were slowly being corrupted, slowly being taken over by the need to continue watching. This is displayed in the piles of dishes you can find around the Pale City in most of the living rooms and rooms where the televisions are. I don't think that these piles of dishes are meant to represent that these people eat too much or that they are greedy like in Little Nightmares 1, but rather that they are so engaged in this TV show that they can't be bothered to wash up. They can't be bothered to do the normal, mundane, boring things of their lives because they are so desperate to have that exciting entertainment. Again, the escapism. You could even go into the idea that the Pale City is called the Pale City. Perhaps that means it is a pale version of its former self, but perhaps it also means that these people spend so much time indoors watching the TV that they themselves have become pale. If you think about TV shows in real life, if you start to watch one and you really enjoy it, you might say that it gripped you or you were sucked in to the TV show. A lot of people use these metaphors when you can't stop watching, and especially in the modern day and age of binge watching television shows with streaming services like Netflix and so on, it's very easy to get into a hole of where you watch 9-10 episodes of a TV show in a row. This is because we too want to escape. We want to escape our boring lives. I know myself, I'm a huge procrastinator, and sometimes rather than work on YouTube videos, I'll just sit and play video games. Why? Because it's more exciting, right? It's more exciting to be playing a video game than it is to be working. And that's even for someone like me who really enjoys my job. So for somebody who is really bored, who does the same thing day in and day out, a 9-to-5 job or working in retail or the service industry, which most of the citizens of the Pale City look like they work in office jobs, most of these people would have been desperate for an escape. This is the reason why genres like sci-fi, fantasy, and adventure are so popular, because they take you to worlds that you couldn't ordinarily get to. We could go even further with this metaphor though. These viewers are so engrossed and so obsessed with their TV shows that they start to neglect their own life. Like I said, we have these piles of dishes. We also have these buildings that are crumbling, showing how these viewers don't even care about their own safety anymore. And then finally, we know that the viewers are eventually sucked into the televisions and are all deposited into the signal tower where they become this amorphous mass of flesh, or the eye wall, whatever you want to call it. This is made up of all the viewers that were so engrossed by the TV signal that they were literally sucked in to the TV. As I've said in previous videos, this could be a not so subtle metaphor. The idea that we are spending more time at home, less time out in the fresh air, less time exercising, more time sitting at home just piling up dishes and watching TV shows is having a negative effect on our bodies. I know this is true for me, and I'm sure it's true for many of you watching as well. I'm sure you could be a little bit more healthier. Maybe you could get out a little bit more. Maybe you could do a little bit more exercise. And I'm not trying to shame you, that's just a reality that we have to live with, especially in the last year or two with the current situation. So that's the literal explanation, and a more metaphorical one as well. I do think that the first game had a slightly stronger metaphor with the hunger, but I do think the metaphor in Little Nightmares 2 is valid as well, especially in the age of influencers and content creators like myself. I've theorized before that it's possible that the TV signal is turning the Pale City into a TV show, and I think this is a very interesting concept considering that all of these creatures in the game seem to be twisted and morphed. If you think about a TV show, what you're seeing is not really true. It's not really exactly how things are. TV shows and movies have actors and makeup and special effects. None of what you're seeing is really real. And even if you look at more realistic TV like reality TV, which is an oxymoron if I've ever heard one, or things like documentaries, even documentaries aren't quite fully the whole picture. They're always edited to make it more interesting and appealing and entertaining. They always take out bits that they might find boring. Again, you are getting a warped version of reality. And I think that's exactly what the TV signal is doing. When you watch a TV show, you're seeing a warped version of reality, so naturally the TV signal in Little Nightmares 2 is warping reality. Just like in Little Nightmares 1, the theme was of hunger. In the real world, we have problems with hunger, we have people that go hungry every day, and we have people that have far more food than they'll ever need. Just look at supermarkets for an example. The metaphor in Little Nightmares 1 was brought to life with the idea of these people being so hungry that they would actually eat you. In Little Nightmares 2, TV being such a warped version of reality now is warping your reality. Six spent time in the signal tower and became a warped version of herself, and I'm sure that the monsters in the world of Little Nightmares 2, like the teacher, didn't start out that way. They became warped too, warped by the signal. I'm not sure exactly how the signal originated. Maybe there is some ancient evil, or maybe it's always been there. Or maybe it was created based on emotion, kind of like the Chaos Gods in Warhammer. Maybe all of these people being so desperate for escapism is what caused the signal to be generated in the first place. I don't think we'll ever truly know, but it's clear that the signal is warping the Pale City around it, and as we've seen in the Little Nightmares 1 DLC, it seems like the signal reaches far wider than we first thought. I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, let me know down in the comments below, leave the video a like, and consider subscribing today for more content just like this one. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.